Hi, I'm Jamie. This is Dead Dodge Garage, and this is my 1955 Imperial Sedan. That's right, I bought this rusty pile. I bought it for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, I like it, it's cool. I have a goal of owning every 55 four-door Chrysler product eventually. This gets us to 3 out of 5, so that ain't bad. 2, crime of opportunity. It's sitting here and the price was right. And 3, because I did a revival video on this car, it was very popular, and many commenters wanted to see it saved. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna clean this thing up, I'm gonna do all the little stuff it needs, and I'm gonna put it back on the road. Now remember, this is my car now, and that means I can kick it whenever I want. I wanna talk about that. I lightly kicked this piece of trim with my foot to show you what a horrible, rusty piece of garbage this car is, and it is. And a ridiculous number of commenters got upset, bent out of shape, whiny about that. You're not a real car guy. Why are you being so rough on that thing? I just want you to know that this piece of trim that I kicked is full of rust bubbles and it's broken. So my point is, it's going to be okay. That's a lot of sand. Because I've bought this car, no one else is going to buy this car. So I can show you what a horrible pile it is. The entire bottom of the car is rusty. All of it. It only looks semi-decent because all the rust holes are covered by trim on an Imperial. I'm not bothered by a little rust. Hell, I'm hardly bothered by a lot of rust. Anyway, for everyone who was sad because I was mean to this car, send me your address and I'll mail you a piece of it so you can remember it. Now, I bought this car in spite of the fact that I looked in it this morning and realized the entire time I was working on it, there's just a mouse skeleton laying on the back seat. I think that means I have to name this thing Squeaky, or maybe Boney. Anyway, in the first video on this car, I did get the engine up and running, and it ran okay. It idled. It smoked some from the driver's bank, and I am a bit worried about that, but I have some ideas. Idea number 1 is I could probably just keep running it, and eventually it might go away. Or it might not. Idea number 2 would be pull all the plugs and read them. Figure out which cylinder has the smoking issue. Once we know which cylinder has the smoking issue, really nothing we could do about it anyway, but at least we would know. Some antifreeze might be a good idea. I'm pretty sure that's straight water. The carburetor has some issues. Issue number 1, the needles and the piston that runs them are seized solid for some reason. There is no linkage piece for the accelerator pump, which does move, but probably wouldn't do anything anyway. And it kind of leaks gas everywhere, intermittently, from time to time. Although I suspect that at this point, because it's run some, the needles and seats are probably magically clean enough to fix that problem. Choke might be nice, for cold starting. Thus far, I've only run the car on an electric fuel pump, and I'd really like to remedy that. This mechanical one may well come back to life. I may try and pull it, give it a good cleaning, maybe open it up, check the diaphragm, make sure it's not totally full of crap. Ultimately, I may just have to buy another one, but it would be nice to get this one working. I will definitely be cleaning the little mouse turds off the engine, and I'd like to at least slightly clean it. This engine should be silver, and it kind of looks like it still is under all that grime. While we're reading plugs, I might as well just give it a basic tune-up. At least a set of spark plugs, a cap and a rotor. Maybe wires if I can find some that fit. The power steering does not work. Might try and address that. Hey, why is the whole front of the engine oily and nasty? You know what, never mind. I don't want to know. Thus far, I've had it running on 12 volts, and I'm going to continue that for now. Ultimately, I would like to switch back over to 6. If I can. If I can find a battery that'll actually start it. Oh, by the way, many people have recommended that I go pick up an 8-volt battery. Believe it or not, I'm familiar. The problem is, no stores locally carry them, so I have no idea where I would buy one. If I can get a few of those big ticket items knocked out, I'd love to get to the point where I could run this up and down the road and make sure it does that. If it does, I'd be pretty excited to buy some tires, swap those on here, get the factory caps back on, and just drive this thing home. It's only an hour away. What's the worst that could happen? Before that happens, I will have to address the fuel tank situation. It smells really bad, and I have no idea how much ancient, nasty fuel is in it. I heard a couple splashes, so It's at least a couple gallons. I bet if we diluted that with some treatment and some fresh gas, ideally some premium, we could get it burned through there. No problem. Maybe. Dude, that's cool. There's actually an access panel plug thing for the fuel sending unit. I could potentially knock that out of there and look in the tank and see how absolutely horrible it is. Hey, why is this all melted? Ooh, more rat stuff. Okay, step one is going to be getting some air in the front tires, and to do that I have to go steal the portable tank back from Tom, who's working on some other thing. Then we'll get this thing over near a shop vac and the cleaning can begin. Yay, we're raising the Titanic again. Did you know that these 50s cars have wheel bolts instead of studs? They're actually hub-centric, and they have a locating pin. So once you slide the wheel on there and get the pin in the hole, the bolts should just start really easily. These ones on the driver's side are left-hand thread, which means they thread in backwards. Borrowed Tom's no longer brand new Superbird battery. Rigged up the fuel system again. I think it's doing stuff. Oh yeah, that doesn't do anything. I hate this car. Nice. Quieted right down once it built some oil pressure. Dude, it's not even smoking anymore. See? Just run them. They'll magically fix themselves. What an absolute unit. It just wants to live. Did I mention I'm gonna wash it? Yes, I'm gonna wash it. Ooh, Dodge D500 Hemi. Don't worry about that though. Found this earlier poking around in the shop. Pretty sure this is almost all 55 Imperial stuff. I don't think I need much of it, but you never know. I know I mentioned this car was like wildly popular on the channel. Can you believe one commenter called it ugly? How embarrassing for them. Did you notice this thing has blue tinted glass? It doesn't have air conditioning, which is usually the kind of car you'd see blue tinted glass on. I'm pretty sure my 55 New Yorker had a cigar lighter in the middle of the back seat. The Imperial takes that one step further. Every rear passenger gets their own. Nice. Also, this thing has rear passenger footrests. Although let it be noted, they're not attached to the floor or anything. They just kind of sit here. This is not good, dude. I might need to get a face mask to clean this one. Snacks! Aw. Did you notice this car has seatbelts? That's great. Might be nice to put, children in here at some point. Probably purify the air first. Of course, nothing 1955 is supposed to have seatbelts because these cars predate safety. It's actually taking out that horrible white residue pretty effectively. This car is definitely due for like a full interior detailing, but let's get the chunks of mouse first. How about that? Do you think this is the kind of stuff upholsterers see in their nightmares? I don't know how visible this is on camera, but there's like a shiny gold thread sewn into this upholstery. Because Imperial. Please don't be asbestos. Please don't be asbestos. Okay, this stuff's all like horrible and disintegrating, but look, these are like carpeted finish panels that match the outside of the car to quiet it down back here. One commenter on the last video said, "You have no idea what that car's worth." Yeah, I know exactly what it's worth, like down to the penny. Another commenter said, "Chrysler build quality was garbage in the mid-50s. I respectfully disagree. Take this for example. The aforementioned access hole for the sending unit, nicely arranged and engineered, nicely plugged by that piece of rubber I already lost. And look at this, the sending unit wire. It has its own guide here to protect it and hold it in position. Another box of bits, in which I was really hoping to find window switch parts. Well, luckily, inside this box marked coupons, I did. Fantastic. Something tells me we'll be rebuilding those at some point. A+ for creativity, but I can't say the tatami mat is my desired front seat cover look. Ugh. Yeah. So that's the thing about cars over on the sunny side. You get that kind of stuff. Sure, things disintegrate here, but not like this. I told Tom I was going to get this thing ready and just drive it home, and he was like, "What are you going to do about the smell?" He thinks you can actually fix that? Hey, also, I mentioned this car is a rusty piece of garbage. Oops, I called it a piece of garbage again. Somebody's gonna get their feelers hurt. But not the car. It's a car. It doesn't have emotions. I do believe they're kind of, sort of living beings though. And in my experience, they respond best to a little bit of abuse. Ah, more rust. Nice. This plate's pretty nice. The one on the other side is unfortunately corroded to bits. All right, Squeaks, your time has come. Oh, delightful. Yeah, I'm gonna give this guy a proper burial. Dude, the back seat is so nice. Except for all that, of course. And if humans actually started sitting on this, I'm confident it would be disintegrated pretty quick. I could be wrong, but I kind of think that mouse carcass started out here. And I never noticed. Ugh. Okay, yeah, it's really bad, but frankly, I think we were all expecting worse. So much room for activities now. Hashtag satisfying. Hashtag dead detail garage. Oh, wow. So I guess this carpet used to be blue? Yep. 3 out of 4 corners of the floor are rotten. No, I shouldn't have done that. I don't even know how carpet gets stained that badly. It's kind of impressive, actually. Well, I got most of the mouse poop vacuumed up, so that's good. Can't wait to spend thousands of dollars at an upholsterer to restore all this stuff after fixing all the rust holes. There's another one. So crispy. Hey, it smells way better. At least from all the way over here. Wow. The back seat hasn't been locked in properly in a very, very long time. Not bad. Not bad at all. Still kind of stinky. You know, these luxury cars are supposed to be best enjoyed from the back seat. This is the kind of thing where you could pick up all your full-size buddies. They'll fit right in back here. And you can go for a road trip or a cruise or a night on the town or whatever. Just get them to sign a waiver first. Well, that expensive fancy stuff didn't do anything, basically. Man, the overspray from the repaint, really terrible. Also, there's not a whole lot of glorious silver left on the 331 Hemi under the hood, which is really unfortunate. At some point, I think this engine deserves a reseal. It deserves a general overhaul. Listen, it's a start. It'll at least be a little nicer to work in here now. Power steering. What a good idea. What do you want to bet all that just pours right out? It's probably the front seal of the pump, judging by all that mess right there. This is a unique setup where the power steering pump is driven off the back of the generator. That's really annoying when you want to put an alternator on one of these things. I don't have any Lucas stop leak, or I'd dump that in there. But I added a bit of Marvel mystery oil. I seem to recall doing that on my brother's Dart like 8 to 10 years ago or something, and it worked, kinda. Wait, I lied. We do have the Lucas power steering stop leak. It's guaranteed to stop all seal leaks or your money back. And we definitely have a seal leak here, so I guess we'll give that a try. And if it doesn't work, we'll get our money back. Seriously though, this Lucas stuff is snake oil, but it's snake oil that works. And I've tested that theory multiple times. This is my wife's Coronet station wagon. Yes, it's still here at Rocket. No, I don't want to talk about that. Way back in the bad old days, when this thing was her daily driver with a 318 poly under the hood, it developed a terrible, horrible, massive power steering fluid leak, to the point that I nicknamed it the Wagon Valdez. Eventually, it got to the point that it was using half a quart of steering fluid every single day on her commute. So I did what any mechanic would do for his wife's broken car, and instead of fixing it correctly, I dumped Lucas power steering stop leak into the system. Believe it or not, it slowed it down from about half a quart a day to half a quart of power steering fluid a week. I can't do the math on that, but it's definitely much less. Eventually, I resealed the pump, and then immediately we sold the car. That's just the way it goes. The point is, Lucas stop leak actually works, or at the very least, kind of works. Place your bets now on whether it works on this thing or not. Whoa! The brake warning light came back to life. Basically a self-fixing Imperial. Come on. Ah! That was a fire. Oh, it's not on fire anymore. Nice. It might need more juices. It's starting to work though. There it goes. Yeah, it's a little thirsty. But we've got power steering. Oh yeah, it's bad. It could be worse. We'll see if the Lucas does its thing here. Hey, look on the bright side. This side of the engine will never ever rust. Listen to how this thing runs now, with no accelerator pump, mind you. Okay, that wasn't the best example, but it's kind of awesome. Okay, it does still smoke sometimes, if you really try. Well, one commenter remarks that Tiger Paw tires always look horrible and dry rotted like this. Well, remember, these are like really, really old. I did just add a bit more air to these, but I think I'm gonna keep it under 30 PSI. Seems like a good idea. Listen to how it fires up now. What a unit. There was something I forgot to point out during the first video. These cars, 55 Imperials and the related Chrysler New Yorker, and I'm sure 300, etc., have funky foot pedals up here under the dash for your own personal vents. Isn't that neat? Pull them to open them, push them to close. I believe for those to actually move air, the cowl vent needs to be open, and that might be stuck, so put that on the list. And now for the moment I've all been waiting for. I'm gonna move this thing over there and wash it. And then, when it still looks like garbage, I'm gonna get disappointed and go home. Oh yeah, self-restoring Imperial, definitely. Windows that open might be nice someday. Oh yeah, flight control. The automatic shifter mounted on the dash in 55. Note, there were Chrysler products in the 60s and even motorhomes and big trucks in the 70s that had dash shifters. Those existed, but they weren't called flight control. Anyway. Oh, there's the last car I lovingly restored on the channel. Shining like a diamond in a goat's... All right, this is gonna take a while. This is a big car. Like really, really big, actually. You know, when it's all cleaned and buffed, it might look kind of like that. Yeah, she's not exactly coming back to a glossy sheen. I mean, it's better. It's a little less powdery, and I'm getting the black moldy spots off, but it's gonna need some more love than this. Man, my phone died, so I wasn't able to film every moment of riveting car washing action. No 20-minute time lapse with upbeat dance music. I'll try to do better next time. But look at this thing now. It's beautiful. Hashtag Transformation Tuesday. Hashtag glow up. Well, until it dries, then it's the same piece of crap it always was. But it's better. I mean, it's not so dusty. I got some of that horrible powdery look off of it. I cleaned the grill, which is like the best part of the car. Yeah, it's, I don't know, something, I guess. There's nothing quite like hand washing your new project car to get intimately familiar with it, to find all the little details and the funky flaws. Like, for example, the back bumper's smashed. And that piece of trim's ruined. And that piece of trim's ruined. That's not even the one I kicked. There are more holes visible than I realized, and the side trims at the bottom of the car are falling off. The front bumper is dented and bent, and it's rusty garbage. This is crooked. Why is this crooked? Stay. Overall, I don't think there's any question this is a major improvement, but it's gonna need some more love. Maybe some kind of glossy patina crap, or maybe a really good buff job and a wax. I don't know that buffing this paint is worth it. It's pretty bad. If this thing was still original paint, it probably wouldn't be so dull and dingy. And I can tell you that because here's the original paint. It's still glossy under there. Also, way more pink. I did confirm there isn't one good window gasket on the car, so that was good. Overall, it's exactly what I thought it was. It's a little rough, but it is cool, and it is definitely a saver. Kept finding more grime behind the window trim, which is unfortunate. I'm sure we'll get all that eventually. Anyway, look at that line when it's glossy. I love the 55 quarter panel line. It's just sweet. It's got a haunch. It's kind of muscular. You know, some people do argue the 55 Chrysler 300, the hot version of this car with less doors and not an Imperial, was the original muscle car, and personally, I'm kind of inclined to agree. Of course, if you try saying that to GTO enthusiasts, they will get very angry at you. Man, it's sure getting crowded out here. Tom. Also, the dash lights work, although they're very, very bright because 12 volts, so we'll just turn those off, I think. I wish this thing was ready for a road drive. It's not. It almost is. I don't have turn signals, and I can't do hand signals with no window, so that's a bit of a problem. The 1 gallon can that it's running off of, well, it would probably get me to the saloon and back. Probably, but if it doesn't, no one's around to drag me home or bring me gas, so yeah, I'm not quite ready to push it. The cooling system is working perfectly. We've got good oil pressure, and this thing is just purring like a little baby kitty. In case you were wondering, yes, the power steering still leaks, but I think it's getting better. Also, some of that could be oil. Ah, good. I've parked us in the forward look section of the yard. Also, right back where I revived this thing. For a story. YouTube is a finicky mistress. It's an incredible tool. It's quite the platform, at least once you get to the point I'm at. People from all over the world can check in and see what you're doing. Oftentimes, they'll enjoy it. Sometimes, not so much. And that's okay. My channel is, and has always been, several different things. Technical guides, instructional videos, project builds, revivals, restoration projects to a certain degree, road trips, stories. It's never been just one thing. And that's interesting because different people will come to the channel for different aspects of videos that I make. The first video on this car was a revival. It was quite popular as my videos go. And the problem with that is a bunch of new viewers show up and they don't necessarily have the whole story. So I hear from all these new people. Some of them are very appreciative and enjoy it. And that's great. Others just don't get it. They don't understand me or my attitude, what I'm doing, or how I'm doing it. Certain commenters seem to think I'm a sniveling young moron with no respect for these cars. I assure you that is not the case. At least the respect for the cars part. If you've seen my videos, you know I love nothing more than getting an old car started and then coming out here to the field and having a little bit of fun. Yeah, I mean, I beat on these things a little bit, but I know what I can get away with. I don't know what it looks like on video, but I know what I'm doing. I'm not beating on any of these cars that hard, with the exception of the Jaguar. I mean, a door was falling off that. That's another story. I've drifted my 68 Charger out here, and it left in one piece, no problem. I once buried a 68 Imperial right here in the mud. That car is also fine. I've driven it at highway speeds. It's great. I didn't hurt it. I just think it's important for you to know that I absolutely love this thing. I was serious when I said the 55 Chrysler products are some of my favorite. And it doesn't even matter that it's got extra doors. In fact, that's kind of a requirement for me, at least in this application. Certain commenters on the Saratoga video from the other day didn't really understand what I was saying there either. It's not that I don't like four doors. It's not that I think they're all parts cars. I don't. In fact, I would be the first person to say the opposite. Unfortunately, there is a certain point at which they are no longer worth saving. It wasn't my brilliant idea to make two-door coupes worth way more than these things. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you. Tom got a pile of photographs with the Superbird, and some of them were of some other cars, like our 55 Imperial here. Look at how beautiful that thing was. This must have been around the time that he bought it. There's another one sitting right next to it, and there's a Finn car back there. I can't find it right now, but Tom also found a picture of the Superbird being towed behind an Imperial. Because of the weird coloring in the photo, we thought it was this Imperial, but it was actually a 56. Look how nice the interior was when he bought it. It's absolutely perfect. It had plastic seat covers, just like the Saratoga. In case you have your doubts, I can guarantee it is the same car. Look at the wear spots on the throttle pedal. Uh-huh. Everything was so much nicer. It's kind of depressing, actually. It's easy to tell from these pictures that this man loved this car. It was well cared for. It was in great shape. Unfortunately, it was parked, and the ravages of time did the rest. Dude, it's got a key light, and it even works. All I'm trying to say is, this car was loved. It was neglected for a really long time, but it was loved. And now, with me, it is loved once again. I put my money where my mouth is on that and bought this thing. And now, over a series of videos, I'm going to rehab it. I'm going to make it look good again. It might well get some floor patches and a fresh interior. That would be really nice. And I've got to figure out something to do with the paint. This is just embarrassing. Super, super chalky. Ah, speaking of chalky, you'll notice the white paint on the roof is coming off. That was already happening before I washed it. Those patches were visible. That's a good tip for you if you've got a two-tone car from the 50s. I actually learned on my 58 Ford, which, yes, is the thing I owned for a time. That two-tone white paint kind of just rubs right off. So if you're going to clean one of these things up, be very careful with that. Think I'm going to have to get some chrome polish too, because that is also embarrassing. I guess I've said my piece. 1955 Imperial Sedan. The official car of being my new daily driver. Kind of. Sometime soon. I hope. I don't know. The way this thing's running, I probably could just leave the Challenger here and drive it home. But it would be a really long trip with a 1-gallon can and ancient tires and every single light bulb popping because I'm running on 12 volts. Not today, but someday soon. Hey, it does have blinkers now. Kinda. Until they explode. I really thought I was going to get more done on this today. Mopars. Hey, I've never been one for the hard sell or anything, but I do want to remind you that Dead Dodge Garage channel memberships are live. We have almost 100 members, which is incredible. I almost can't believe it. But I want to thank all of you, especially our 11 gold members, whose names I should probably learn. I mean, I know a few of them. If you sign up by September 15th, I get an extra bonus from YouTube, which is great. Doesn't help you at all, but it does help me, as does your membership. So, again, thank you very much for your consideration. If you watch my channel often, you know I try to bring you 3 to 4 great videos every single week, and I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep saving gems like this, dragging home new projects, reviving long dead cars like that one, more on that later, and bringing you helpful electrical guides for your classic Mopar, just generally loading you up with useful technical information and that sort of thing. Also, sometimes there are jokes. So, from the bottom of my whatever, as ever, thank you very much for watching. And remember, if your friends tell you that you shouldn't drag home old cars, revive them, and have the time of your life doing it, get new friends. You don't need that kind of negativity in your life.